This little Northland Valley is an important place in world military history. It was here that modern trench warfare was invented. The churchyard marks the site of Aotearoa, the pa designed by Kawati in 1845. His 100 or so warriors ranged from 70-year-old Kawati himself to renowned young toa like Ruatara Tauromoko and 12-year-old boy warriors like Rihara Kou. They were outnumbered by more than 6 to 1 when the British finally attacked on the 1st of July, 1845.
I roto I ngā taki, ka tuku o te pātai e te kaitaki, ne? Te kaiwero, he hatau, ko ai koe, he hoa riri, he hoa aroha rānei. Me he hoa aroha haramai, me he hoa riri, ka maringi tōtoto.
Missionary Robert Burrows had been allowed to visit Aotearoa during the early stages of construction. This stone wall around the church marks the line of the palisades. But as the palisades rose, Burrows found himself banned from the pa.
Building operations of late have been carried on with remarkable caution and secrecy for natives, and it is not easy to ascertain their strength.
Kawati knew that Burrows reported what he saw to the British commanders. He did not want the missionary to spoil the surprise he had in store.
But what sort of is curious for me is that even Wakanene didn't know, and his men didn't know what was going on.
By the 23rd of June, the British Expeditionary Force was encamped before Aotearoa under its new commander, Colonel Henry Despard. He had 630 British troops as well as 250 Ngāpuhi under Wakanene. The British wanted to crush Kawati quickly while Heke was out of action. To Despard, the pa seemed to have one major weakness. It was surrounded by hills from which cannon could fire into it. Despard established his batteries on their slopes and began bombarding the pa, firing 6, 12 and 32-pound round shot and shell from his guns. The British kept up their bombardment for a week. They moved their fortified batteries closer and closer until their shots could not miss. Major Cyprian Bridge, the commander of the 58th Regiment, recorded the bombardment in his diary.
24 June, shell, ball and grape into the pa all day. 28 June, our guns did good execution, nearly every shot told. There appears to be a good deal of damage done to it. 29 June, by about 2 p.m, 100 shots and shells were fired into the pa from the hill, which must have astonished the weak minds of the natives.
On the 1st of July, expecting to find the garrison utterly pulverized by the cannonade, Despard sent 250 hand-picked men to storm Aotearoa. The survivors would remember it for the rest of their lives.
We got the orders, charge! When we were within about 50 paces of the stockade, we cheered and went at it with a rush.
We were then met with such a fusillade that I can only describe it as the opening of the doors of a monster furnace. The party was literally mown down.
I thought it would be all right, but when I got up close and saw the strength of the fence, my heart sank within me.
The bugles sounded the retreat. We retired. The whole area was strewn with wounded and dead, a very frightful sight. The engagement lasted about 10 minutes, with the loss of half of the men.
It was a heartrending sight to see the number of gallant fellows left dead on the field and to hear the groans and cries of the wounded, for us not to leave them behind.
The British lost 114 men killed and wounded at Aotearoa.
To Europeans in both Britain and New Zealand, the defeat at Aotearoa seemed unbelievable. How could Imperial British troops, equipped with the latest in heavy artillery, have been beaten by less than a sixth their number of so-called savages? How could the impossible have taken place?
The answer was a Maori revolution in the art of war, Ohiawai had 2 fences and a firing trench right around it. Warriors reloaded while standing safely in the bottom of the trench, then stepped up to fire through the gap in the fences. Fence and trench were protection from the guns and bayonets of a storming party. The trenches were laid out unevenly to bring attackers under fire from 2 directions at once. The outermost fence, the pekarangi, was not intended to block a storming party, but to slow them up to be shot. It could be pulled down or clambered over, but it took time, which the defenders used to shoot, reload, and shoot again. Basically, the pekarangi had the same function as barbed wire on more recent battlefields.
The whole front of the pa flashed fire. Guns flashed from the foot of the stockade and from loopholes higher up. Smoke half hiding the pa from us. Yells and cheers and men falling all around. Not a single Maori could be seen. They were all safely hidden. What could we do?
Covered passages into the interior of the pa meant that Kawiti could quickly and safely concentrate his few men at threatened points, in effect multiplying their numbers. But he knew he could only do this if they survived the initial bombardment. So he pocked the inside of Ohiawai with deep pits and underground caverns, probably the world's first anti-artillery bunkers. These bunkers blunted the bombardment. The trenches blunted the assault.
Kawiti never gave up his desire to see how good these professional soldiers were. I think he began to see that in open warfare that the British were far superior. And so when it came to garrison warfare, if you like, he wanted to see what kind of reaction would happen there. And he was able to prove then that this battle, as far as garrison warfare was concerned, was far superior.
And similarly to Kororaraka, they waited, they set the bait, they snared into a killing zone, they hit, and like silky smoothness, slid out from under.
The victorious Māori abandoned Ohiawai a few days after the assault. It had served its purpose. Despard occupied the empty pa, and he and Fitzroy tried to claim this as some kind of victory. Nobody believed them. Indeed, they did not even believe themselves, and their real attitude is revealed by their attempt to negotiate a peace, something which would have been absolutely unthinkable before Ohiawai. In effect, the Battle of Ohiawai suspended military operations for no less than 5 months, a welcome respite for the wounded Heke and his part-time Māori warriors.
Ohiawai was a great Māori victory, one that was celebrated in haka and song.
Fight! Fight! You will not return to your village to Europe because of the driving force of the warriors. Oh, Jesus Christ, and the book. I will turn my back and empty my bowels upon them.
Exactly 27 years after the battle, the local chief, Heta Tahara, asked the government if the bones of the soldiers who had fallen at that battle be buried in consecrated ground in this cemetery. And the fact that these men who came from so far away are now lying with some of the people they actually fought with.
Upon that day, I'm grieved to say, 3 officers were slain, and many a gallant soldier lay dead upon the plain. We buried them in 2 days' time, which grieved our hearts full sore, to see so many heroes all buried in their gore. We had no coffins made for them, but all was silent round. We rolled them in their blankets, and gently laid them down.